Alright, and so I figured I'd go ahead and just do a video about the quad cab truck. Pretty much where it came from, its backstory, and where I plan on going with this truck. Because I do have some pretty big plans for this truck, hopefully, if everything works out the way I want it to. But that being said, everything that goes into these trucks is out of my pocket. Like, I have to go to work and I pay for every single little thing on these trucks. This isn't, I don't have any kind of sponsorship or anything like that, so bear with me. I will do what I can when I can. But hopefully it doesn't take too long. But anyhow, so this is where it's at right now. This thing gets used and abused. It ain't no beauty queen and it ain't no trailer queen. So, but she is a good old truck. Front bumper, I built that too. Plan on building some step bars for it. All the fabrication and stuff like that, I'm gonna try to save for winter because man, it is hot. It is just, it is too hot to be in this shop, long sleeves, welding, grinding, cutting like crazy because I just don't have the ventilation, to be honest with you. But how I came to get this truck is like everybody else's trucks these days, I found it on Facebook. I actually had a 2001 at the time, Dodge Ram 3500, four-wheel drive with a Cummins in it. Had 411 gears. So that thing would probably do about 75 down the interstate, and I tell you what, doing 75, tongue was hanging plumb out. Sounded like she was wide open. And I was starting to travel for work then. So I said, you know what? I need a different truck. And I need a full four-door truck. It was an 01, 24 valve, 5.9. It was a good truck. It was a very good truck. That truck had been with me probably my second year out of high school. I think I bought that truck. But man, that truck right there was a workhorse, and I hate that I ever got rid of it now. But hey, you know what? You live and you learn. But here's a picture of that truck right here. So I sold that one, and I was like, you know what? I want me a third gen. I've never had a third gen. I've had friends that had third gen. I was like, I want a third gen. I want a quad cab short bed. And I want it to be four-wheel drive. It needs to be a 6-speed. And, decent miles on it. I don't want to get anything real crazy high miles. So I found this 2005 quad cab short bed, 6-speed, 4x4, and he wanted like 15 for it. I was like, man, that's pretty good. I was like, what kind of miles is on it? He's like, Well, it doesn't have, but I think it was like 190,000 miles. I was like, that ain't bad at all. So I went and looked at the truck, drove it, had a dual disc clutch in it, which was making a little bit of racket, and it kind of let out a little funny. And I was like, maybe it's just a little wore out. So, that being said, I drove it for a while, and then the clutch got worse and worse and worse. And I was like, all right. I was like, I'll put a clutch in it. So I did. And when I was pulling the flywheel off of it, I felt something pop, like give a little bit. So I was like, what is that? So I was like, I'm gonna try to do this again. So I was like, it had to be in the. I'm gonna check the crankshaft. I'm gonna check the end plate just because of that feeling I had. Sure enough, I put a dial indicator on the crankshaft and it had like 100 thousandths of end play. So I was like, oh man, I know this is shot. I said, but I'm gonna get a second opinion just in case. That way, maybe I can tear the bottom end of this thing out and I can get it fixed before things get too out of hand. So I called Dodge. I talked to them. I called a few people actually and talked to them. They all said the same thing. They said, listen, if you got that much in play, it's not going to be long before this thing starts throwing the belt off the front of it. And the block's already shot, so you can might as well take your core charge and you can throw that out the window. I was like, well, that's great. I was like, I ain't had the truck by then probably, I don't know, 3-4 months at the most, and find this news out. So I'm kind of irritated at that, but thank God I'm having a great year. I'm having a great work season. We're working, really good jobs, and travel's good. So I just get rental cars while this truck's in the shop because I don't have a backup at that time. So I find these people to call Diesel Doctors. Big shout out to them. They did a great job. Diesel Doctors, I can't remember where they're located at, but anyhow, they took the truck in and did the whole build. And I was like, well, you know what? While it's in there, I'm going to build it the way I want it built. That way, ain't no sense in opening it up twice. So, it already had 100 horse injectors in it, which I just had them leave in it. But, so they pulled the motor out, went through the entire motor, everything was brand new pretty much. Hamilton 188 over 220 cam, head studs, brand new CP3. Still had the original 100 horse injectors at the time. I'm about to get to that. So all that's done. They put everything back together, and they say a whole new valve train, everything. They put it all back together. They fired up, and he says, "Hey," he says, "This thing's got like an injector tick. So what we would like you to do is if you want this warranty to last on your engine, we want you to put a set of industrial injectors in it." I was like, okay. I was like, what do you recommend for this warranty then? He's like, well, you can go back pretty much with the same size that was in there. But industrial doesn't make what they say 100 horse injector. It's like a 90 something or something like that. I don't know. But so all this gets done, and I'm out like, I think it ended up costing me somewhere around $12,000 for all this work. Which really ain't bad, because I had a lot of work done to the engine, and it was pretty much a brand new block, the whole 9 yards. Or, wasn't my same block, it was a different block. And I didn't get no core charge because the main bearing, or the thrust bearings were shot. So I was like, all right. So they get the new injectors in, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to this next job. It's in North Carolina. When will the truck be ready? Well, they said, yeah, it'll be ready by then. So I go and pick it up. And I go to drive it to the next job. Clutch fan goes out. That was the first thing that went out. Clutch fan went out. on the way to the job. So I'm kind of irritated about that. I'm like, man, I just spent $12,000, just paid for it. I'm on my way to the job. Clutch fan goes out. It's throwing the code, throw the whole truck in the lamp mode. I'm having to pull over and reset the truck ever so many miles. So I'm aggravated at the time. Get down to a parts store, get a clutch fan, get that one ripped off, put back on. Get going down the road, keeps throwing a boost code. Well, this truck's got an aftermarket turbo on it. So that solenoid that plugs into the factory turbo isn't plugged up. So I need to put a boost fooler in there because it's reading low boost. So then I do that. Put a boost fooler on it. I was like, all right, please, just get me there. So we get there, and the truck lasts a good while after that. I didn't have really any issues after that. Well, all of a sudden, I started noticing that I'm getting a lot, I'm talking about some real bad gear noise in the transmission. This ain't no regular like gear roll or anything like that. I know these transmissions are loud, but this is obnoxious. So I'm starting to get a lot of gear roll, and I'm like, well, you know, it ain't that bad. I know these transmissions are loud, and I don't really think much of it. So then the transmission goes to knocking, and then the clutch starts feeling weird and stuff like that. And I just put a brand new clutch in it. I get to thinking, I'm like, what could this be? Well, coming to find out, since all that transmission and everything was getting pushed on that crankshaft, it had also wore out my bearings on my main shaft in my transmission, and now it's going bad. So I'm like, all right, I'm already this deep in it, you know, I've already got a brand new motor. I was like, let's just bite the bullet, let's put a transmission in it. So I get hooked up with these guys from, I think they're from Ohio. They were called Black Diamond Transmission or Black Diamond Diesel Shop or something like that. They're not in business anymore. They were terrible. I am not scared to tell you these people are terrible because they were god awful. So it was like a core charge of $1,400 that you paid up front with the transmission, and then you sent your transmission in. They gave you your core charge back. So I ended up paying like $5,500 for a brand new 5-year unlimited mile transmission. When I got it, I put it in the truck. It was a good looking transmission. They painted it up nice, red and black, real good looking transmission. As soon as I fired it up, it goes to knocking, like knocking. Yeah, it goes to knocking real bad. So right off the bat, I'm like, here we go again. Something else with this truck. It's always something. Man, me and this truck right here have been so close, and we've tried to kill each other. It's tried to give me a stroke. I've thought about wrapping it around trees, telephone poles, off a cliff, burning it to the ground. This thing has got me to my wit's end. So that's kind of funny too, because my wife actually named the truck Voldemort, like the Harry Potter character, because she said, you and this truck are just trying to kill each other but can't kill each other, and that thing is just evil. But anyways, so I'm like, all right. So I try calling this company up, and I call 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 and I call, and I cannot get anything out of them. Like I've sent text messages back and forth. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh well, this and this and this. I never did get my core charge back. He said he was going to send me a transmission as soon as he got one in and ship that one back. Never did. It's about 3 months later, and the guy, I call him, and he's cutting trees on the side or something like that. So right off the bat, that tells me, I'm like, all right, this place ain't legit. You know, they kind of put up a good front on the website and stuff like that, but they're not really legit. So I never did get my money back. I never did get the transmission swapped. Nothing like that. I actually contacted a lawyer. They pretty much said, hey, he's going to be found guilty, but hey, you're not going to get your money out of him. That's just all there is to it. You're going to be in debt you're going to lose that money that you lost on the transmission plus the money you spent on court fees and this and that, because even though they do find him guilty, you may not ever get anything out of him. They're like, but if you want to do this, we will do it. I'm like, no, that's okay. So I pretty much just wore his company out on every piece of social media I could find because it's garbage. And once I did that, I started getting messages from a bunch of people just saying how they got screwed over in the same deal and this and that. So, yeah. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not one to leave a bad review. I don't. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I always try to see the good in everything. I always try to give everything a second chance, even a third chance. So in order for me to take me to the wit's end to where I feel like I need to go out of my way to let people know how dirty you are, you're bad. Real bad. But hey, I'm $5,000 or more in the hole right now, and I don't have a transmission that works either. And then now I got to pull the transmission out and have somebody else pay for somebody else to rebuild it again. Then I pull this transmission out and take it to a local place, and then they rebuild it. And it lasted a while, and then all of a sudden it went to roaring one day, almost like a throwout bearing roar. And then I noticed that the clutch wasn't engaging right and this and that too, so I was like, And when I had it redone that next time by a local place, I put a South Bend dual disc in it. Man, guys at South Bend, love them. I will not run anything else probably but a South Bend clutch. They've been good to me. They stand by their products, and they're just a great company. They have done nothing but right by me every step of the way, and they're just a great customer service and great company to do business with. But anyhow, so I'm like, all right. So I take it up there to the guy. I pull the transmission. I take it up there to the guy. I'm like, look. This is what it's doing. And it was kicking out of sixth gear. It started kicking out of sixth gear too, going down the road. So as long as you kept your foot on the gas and kept a little load on the transmission, it wouldn't kick out of gear. As soon as you pulled your foot off the gas, if you was going downhill or something like that, kick right out of gear in the neutral. So pulled the transmission out again, took it back over there. Sure enough, man, the local place that did the transmission work, they did right by me too. I cannot complain so far. So far, so good. They took the transmission in. Sure enough, there had been a part placed on the wrong side of a bearing, and the bearing had actually eat through the transmission housing. So I was like, okay. I'm like, what is this going to cost? He's like, look. He's like, it's totally my fault. We'll just replace everything. All you got to pay for is a $90 core. I was like, that's great. But yeah, all I had was a core charge fee, and that was it. They rebuilt the whole transmission. Called me like a week and a half later, and I went and picked it up, and I just bought a USA made throwout bearing. I can't remember the name of it, but I ended up getting it in Napa. Really good throwout bearing, really good reviews. I just didn't put that Japanese throwout bearing in the trucks just because everybody seems like they have problems with them. I haven't had a problem with it yet while I was using their whole clutch kit, but I just wanted to make sure, I've already put this thing in, pulled it out, and put it back in 3 times. I don't want to have to go back in for a throwout bearing that ain't going to last, so I went ahead and bought a lifetime warranty American-made throwout bearing. And let me tell you something, you're going to pay, it was high. It was like, I want to say it was like right at $100 for this throwout bearing. Maybe even a little bit more. But that's that peace of mind thing again, you know what I mean? You pay for what you get, hopefully. It's USA made, it ought to last. So I know that it shifts and the clutch engages and disengages way better than it did last time. But you know what? It could have been because the transmission wasn't assembled correctly. So that's where that truck is right now. It's aftermarket CP3, pretty much got a bag of parts in it. It's Industrial's 100 horse injectors. It's dual disc clutch, rebuilt trans, rebuilt motor, 188 over 220 cam, head studs.
And she's got the Banks Monster Ram kit. The whole intake horn, boots, pipes, and intercooler. So, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole I went down trying to get lower EGTs, and come to find out that there's a little bit of imbalance in the industrial injectors, which I've had those things out twice, but they stood behind them, took them in, recalibrated them, flow tested them, sent them right back free of charge. So, you know what? Can't hate on it. I mean, they were, by the flow chart they gave me, which I don't have it on hand. I don't know where it's at, so I can't show you what it looked like. But it wasn't really bad. It was just a little bit on the smokier side. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's great. I know that nothing against industrial or nothing, but I would really like to probably, next set of injectors I get is probably going to be Exergies.
And what's going to happen next to it. So I don't know whether I'm going to dually swap it first or if I'm going to compound it first. Because let me show you what I got for this thing. So, Steve Speed T4 2nd gen swap and a S476, which it's got a S363 in it right now. So it ought to be a pretty slick set of compounds. I know a lot of people run that setup and they love it. They still tow with it and everything else. So, hey, I'm gonna give her a shot. Hopefully it makes good power. Hopefully I can still play in it even though it's a dually, and I can still tow good with it. No, that is the direction that's going. But another thing is I don't know whether if I'm going to keep that bed on that truck or if I'm going to sandblast it and put it on the mega cab and then build a dually bed on it, because I'd really like a Western hauler style bed, which I'll end up building that too because I like fabricating and welding. But yeah, that is the plans for that truck. I also have a full set of Hamilton springs, heavy duty push rods, the whole 9 yards for that. And I'm going to build my own piping. I'm going to build my own compound piping setup. So yeah, that's probably going to be a wintertime project or sometime in the spring or fall, I mean. So yeah, that's where that thing's at, guys. It's been a pain in my ass.
But you know, on the same hand, I love the truck. I really do. Man, that thing's been around the country with me. And you know, wrenching's about the trials and tribulations and lessons learned and everything that comes with it. Parts wear out. That's just part of it. And you get these third gen trucks and they got over 200,000 miles on them. Parts are going to start getting tired. You know, you're going to start replacing stuff. It's already been used and abused. You know, that thing's probably been, by the time you got it, depending on who's owned it, it's probably been boost launched a half a dozen times, or it's had round bells stacked to the ceiling, you know, behind it, or it's been pulling farm equipment, or, you know, these trucks were meant to be worked, you know, not babied. But hey, everybody's their own kind of enthusiast. Depends on what you want. As long as you're doing it, you're taking the journey, you're having fun doing it, you know, and you can afford it. That's the biggest thing. You can afford it, because these diesels, there ain't nothing about them cheap. Nothing. Not even the fuel anymore. So yeah, we'll see where this leads. We'll see where the quad cab ends up. I don't know if I will ever get rid of the truck. I know I damn sure ain't gonna get the money back out of it that I got in it. So, but man, this thing right here have so many memories, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. But that's the end of this video. I just kind of want to tell you my story, tell you where the quad cab came from, where it's headed. Hopefully she'll be a dually with a compound setup, making good horsepower, and just a fun all-around good daily driver. You know, I plan on, hopefully, after everything's said and done, I'd like to take it to somebody really good to have some tunes written for it. If y'all know anybody local in Middle Tennessee, southern Middle Tennessee, or Middle Tennessee in general, or, you know, within a 3 or 4 hour range around Nashville, that's really good at writing tunes, hit me up, write me a message, find us on Facebook, send me a message. I'd really like to find somebody local. I'd like to find somebody in Tennessee that does it. If not, I'm probably going to take this thing to Fire Punk. I definitely want it to be tuned on a dyno. So, yeah. Appreciate y'all hanging around. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out them welding caps. And catch you on down the road, Hans.